think they used to.
Maybe, I don't. Hey,
Because it was more around.
Oh,
You're right, Steve's here. That's what it was, and that's why it was. Now we're talking about March 11th-ish.
yeah,
Yeah, I love it much better this way. My birthday is March 4th.
It's all about you. It's all about.
Yeah.
It's all,
right.
so I'm like, yeah.
You're listening.
March 13th.
Uh-huh.
It was.
Oh, no,
That was right.
Well, it's over.
Right.
I know, I know.
You know.
What are you talking about?
Well,
Well, no, we're just gonna give them the- Of course, he's. Yeah.
knew he would.
I, you know, as I was first talking, I was kind of thinking in the back of my head, like, this is probably gonna see.
Is there- Well, I was like, just call me, you know, it's feeling like back and forth stuff, so.
Starts to get confusing.
One was one was national.
Internet sacred text archive. Internet secret text archive. It's rather even faster.
That's right, right here. She wrote that.
Me, sorry. Hired another company?
No, I haven't heard none.
No.
Still waiting on that.
Yeah.
But I have talked to her.
Yeah.
Okay, or something.
That's what I went in. You don't have this, is it leaking or?
We are completely. Everything's good. We got the year to put a roof on the farm.
So I think it's exactly what is your.
I think that's true. What happened.
I mean.
Right now, everybody wants to retire from what they think, when I pay them to put my roof.
Yeah.
I've had estimates from 22 to 35,000 for a single roof.
Yeah.
On a normal average, I mean, we've got 2,500 square feet of roof.
But,
Yeah, I want to say ours, we had to have solar panels put on state law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to run the, just to take the panels.
They
I've got
put,
generators.
they had to take the solar panels
And I've
off
got
and then put the solar
Then,
panels
so I
on.
can switch on my
But we
box.
also
I
have,
get everything. but
we have a flat roof. So we shingles with a roll in. It's almost like they took like plastic and wrapped it.
I was gonna say, you can do a flat.
Yeah. So,
I wouldn't.
but it was, it was solar panels. Take them on. If it's going to do that.
That tracks.
So anyway, you told me that story.
Is it on?
It's on. It is on.
Yeah.
Most of everybody saw me with my
I had
cigarette.
one.
hanging out my back.
I had one.
Alrighty then.
And I told that, I said, "Don't put it in my hand."
Yep.
That's all.
Why
Well,
you were
I
so
told
weird.
them to have a basket.
You can't-
Well,
you can't
Yeah,
beat
let's
it.
give a little more definition.
They did
on
give
that.
me one of my gifts.
I have no idea. I just wanted
You going?
say that with such
Well, then,
confidence. Yep.
one check advance and step in the food. You're up.
It's going. It's not.
Right, right.
3-4 days time. Microphone and everything.
Wow, wait.
That Alex was just talking about.
Yeah, I don't think that, we usually don't start that.
Microphones on, so just- Okay. We're just talking about rabbit bats.
All right, mics are on, cameras are on. Mics are on, cameras are on.
Yeah, just do it verbally. There's not more. What I didn't know was all the stuff we did today.
Everyone is here, because Ginger said she couldn't. make it. Everyone's here.
Oh, okay.
Christine's not here, but I didn't really hear
No,
back.
I put it on the thing. Do you want to?
About whether
send it
she
to you on
was
email?
That'd be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can- I think we're good. Anybody else?
If I don't have a juice, you look
I think, I think that, we pretty much got everybody we're gonna have,
Okay,
hey,
sure.
That's all.
unless we end up seeing Chris.
You should see my phones.
Okay, so I think, we're good. You're listening? Okay, I figured, sorry. So I know last time we met, I believe it was, that you had come back with, a proposal. And we needed to take that back and get that costed out. So we wanted to share that cost out with you to start off because, well, hello, welcome.
Hello.
Happy Wednesday to everybody. So let me just kind of run through, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this was my notes that I took down the last time, when we met. That a request for a salary increase of 5.25%, that does come out to 18.2 million. The bonus, the one-time, non-recurring bonus, you had come back at a, I believe a 1250. I'm trying to, shouldn't do this off the top of my head, but here I go. 1250, 800, and 400. And that did come out to $5 million. No, you would also ask the advance or propose the advanced degree supplements to be increased by 3 1/4, and that came out to be $256,830. So with that being said, and just reminding everyone that, you know, we had a increase allowed for all bargaining groups around 18.4 million. For all bargaining groups, obviously, that is what we are being provided for by the state, but we are obviously, as you notice with the other groups as well, we understand we are going to be adding more to that. But at that rate of, you know, 23 million for PCTA, and is we are rejecting that offer that was proposed. However, we do have a counter that we would like to share with you this afternoon. So we would like to offer a salary increase of 4%, which is 13.8 million. The one-time non-reoccurring, and we heard you loud and clear.
I'm sorry, 4% is an average, right? The
Average
average.
yes, average 4%. Thank you very much. Sorry about that. Forgot to include that.
And what was the cost out of
13.8.
sex?
So we recognize the offer and the suggestion that came from you all regarding those one-time non-recurring. So last time we had discussed about a 1 million, sorry, that we had proposed for you all to, you know, then determine as you see fit to assign at different levels. I know at that point you had the 3 different, I think 3 to 10, I think 11 to 20, something like that. We looked at those breakdowns, and we're trying to come somewhere where we could propose something. So we are going to up that another 1.1 million to 2.1 million. And I really think we can talk, I mean, I think that would be up to you to determine then. We can give you a couple of scenarios of options for those bonuses. It could be 500, 300, 200, or you could look at different levels of how you're going to provide those to your members, and we could talk about that, but I just want to let you know that we have come back and we have increased that. We've doubled it for you for that. Obviously, we absolutely will, the advanced degrees, you know, we're as requested, that's in our proposal as well, 256,830. Also, I just always like to keep repeating that we are picking up the 100% healthcare increases, which is 5.5 for all employees. I understand not just PCTA, but that's how we've been reporting it out. We also are continuing, as agreed upon last year, for those paid planning days, 2 days and 4 days. So we are definitely looking to, you know, obviously, and I think all of us sitting around the table are looking to get to an agreement on salaries. I know we have a couple other items out there as well, and we can talk about that. I think I'll pause though on that and see if you all would like to caucus, if you would like to ask any further questions, and we can kind of go from there.
Thank you. I do have some questions. Because I just want to make sure that I'm looking at the numbers correctly. So
Sure.
what did you say you valued our 5.25% increase as?
18.2.
See, I'm not sure where we're. Because I valued the 4%, the 4% increase at approximately about the same as y'all, around 13.8. So using the same records, I get that same number. But at 5.25, I don't get that. I get it much closer to 16 million. So I don't know.
What
Using the
salary?
same numbers.
What salary are you using?
So the difference between the proposal and the current active, our current active is around 380 million.6, or, you know, roughly 381. But using these numbers, my 4% calculations track just about the same as yours, 13.776, so close to 13.8. But I'm seeing a pretty significant difference there using those same numbers with my 5.25. The way we evaluated our own 5.25% proposal is approximately 16.2, which is a pretty big, that's a pretty significant difference. So I'm not sure where that's
I
going.
can tell you, I think Kevin about the same-
Oh, I'm
same
sorry.
thing, but
Wow.
so if you take 13,832,000. Divide that by 0.04 for the 4%.
Actually, we just divided by 4 and multiplied by 5.25, it comes out to 18.1.
I'm sorry, 13.
So if
Sorry,
you take $13.8 million roughly that Dave was talking about, divide that by 4. And multiply that by 5.25, it comes out to $18.1 million.
okay, so your 13.8 was a little bit so I had 13.77 for 13 million, about 13.8, but the
So if you take your 13.7,
Yeah.
divided by 4, that equals how much for
I got you.
1%?
I feel,
times five?
yeah, I
That
feel like,
kind of confuses me in the sense that, I know when Lindsay, my understanding is when you're putting it into the calculator, you are actually taking salaries at the different levels and
We are,
seeing what they do by 5.25.
no, it's really not. The way that I do it, and I see what you're saying. I'm just trying to figure out how I'm using the same numbers and getting to that same value. No, because it's an average, you can apply the same percentage to the entire unit with some, you know, you're gonna have a little bit of movement, but because it's on average, you're basically applying it to the entire unit. You're gonna end up, you know, 1.5 dozen.
Okay.
So, my numbers come in a little bit below that, but roughly the same. And then I agree with you, when you calculate it that way, it comes in a little bit closer to, or just above 18 million, but I just don't see that using the same calculations that I have been doing for every other salary proposal. So I'm not
Dave,
sure.
is it true that you look at actual salaries of individuals?
Yeah.
Yeah, we come up, it's about 345. That's what we're using. Is what we.
Okay, so you said about 345 million?
Right.
Right now?
4%, it's the 13.8, the 345 times 5.25 is the 18.
Well, that may be where we're running into, a difference because I have a total. And again, I think this is maybe where we, you run this risk as you go further into the year, but my current active annual total of all of salaries in the unit is closer to, it's 381. And that was based on, but again,
Yeah, take your final.
From 380 to get the 3.
oh, I see, you're referring to it without the referendum.
Yep.
Correct.
That's how-
Ah,
that's
okay.
how it
Do this
goes, yeah.
because this amount doesn't include.
And if you're coming up with the same number at the 4%.
Right.
It should work for the 5.25.
Yeah, it should, but it's not. That's what I'm saying, that it is almost exactly with the 4%, but not with 5%. Because I don't do it based on the, my
You don't?
calculations aren't based on the
Are you
referendum,
doing 5 or 5.25?
or based without the referendum, 5.25, sorry. So.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
380, I'm not too sure how you got 13.8 at 4%. If you're using a higher salary.
Yeah. It's the same, yeah. I mean, it's the same way I've been doing every other, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it could be the beauty of technology, but I still feel like it would have shown up for now. So, I'll go back and look at it. I don't want to hold it up anymore, but I see what y'all are talking about. I'm just not sure why all of a sudden I'm seeing a difference.
Right, 'cause your numbers have always been coming out basically the
much,
same
yeah.
as everything. as
Pretty
the-
much.
So that's odd.
It's mathematically odd.
It is.
It's a mathematical anomaly.
Listen, I'm a social studies teacher.
Perhaps the laws of physics used to exist on your calculator.
That could be.
What's that from? Like cousin Vinny.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. To use.
It's about the cooking reports.
Yes.
What's it good? That's harmony. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
It's good.
All right.
Guys, don't encourage.
Yeah.
It'll- There are so many quotes from that movie. We can go on.
So good. And I would
Yeah,
say-
you fit in.
You blend.
You blend.
You blend.
I will say that it's very effective for teaching law studies.
Yeah, I guess, yes.
What's that?
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for answering that. I'm not, I don't really understand where we're going, but something's up.
Yeah, yeah. And the article from the paper this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll
Thanks.
definitely-
No, that wasn't too bad.
Yeah, looking still 30 and 50,000 damage. But it's actually good.
Brian's gonna be turning off.
Yeah, they actually triple sent us.
I got just saw something.
Yeah, they sent us an email asking if we're on because she's making travel plans. I'm like, "Oh, I know."
All right, I'm glad you're safe.
I'm just gonna bump your table back here a little bit. and I gotta get in there.
Going to caucus, guys. Be right back.
All right, we're unmuted.
Yep, we're live.
Right.
Right,
I've been talking to them.
thanks.
Yeah, same on Twitter.
Okay. All right, so what we were discussing is that we would like to make a counter offer that we have scribbled together. So you're going to have to scribble it down because we didn't have it ready.
Yeah.
That the average increase would drop to 5%. And the retention bonuses, we would drop off the first tier. And the second tier would begin with years 13 to 20. At $750, what was it? $750. And the third and now second tier would be still 21 and up at $12.50. Everything else remains the same.
I don't know. So I see the 13 to 20 and the 7, we would have to cost that out unless you
I
have an average or
I see it coming in
and
at
I think.
about 3.5, lower, less than 3.5. Varying with who is in the unit, but the numbers, the August 1st numbers would be about 3.44, 3.445.
Okay, so. So 5%, and I'm just getting that is.
That I'm trying to.
Dave over here is saying it's about 17 million.
So you.
Well, that came.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, let's wait. Okay, sorry, that was from non-Dave.
17.3.
You were pretty good there, Brian. So, and I think let's just we'll just kind of talk right, clearly here. The 5% is a non-starter. We are not able to do that. I'll take us back to our first meetings that we've had and where we were pushing 3.25. And maybe I'll let Mr.
Yeah,
Smith
so,
speak
I
to
mean,
this.
They've pushed me well beyond the 3.25 that I was comfortable with. These guys worked on me and so did you. And we went to the 4% and, I'm really not comfortable with that. We really, we have impacts and as we talked about, Lindsay, when you and I met, which are uncalculable right now, which is the family empowerment scholarship impact that we have. We got some additional funding this year, but there's a lot of earmarks in that funding. The $15 an hour was required for that. So we really don't have the money that we've been talking about here. So to go to 5% is really completely unaffordable for us. If I could, believe me, I would.
But I think what's going to be upsetting to the teachers is if they don't, because even if we were at the same percentage as the other negotiating groups, 4.25, they get a straight percentage. Ours we get an average. So the number being lower
than what they're getting. And what I would imagine the administrators will also get the 4.25. And they get a straight average. The teachers are the only group that do not get, they get a straight percentage across the board. We are the only ones who get an average,
Right.
and which consistently harms the people in the middle and the top. Mostly the very top. There's actually a member who believes that last year she got a 0.06 raise. She believes that because she wrote it to Susan Spalding yesterday. And that wasn't even enough to pay for the increase in insurance. So she didn't have anything right.
Well, we could,
I don't think there was anybody.
There
that got a raise that
was-
way.
wasn't any.
There was
And no
nobody.
increase in insurance.
I double checked with
You got it.
Lindsay and I said, even at the very top, at the lowest edge of that average, I think it was
I-
1.6.
Yeah,
I think
I
that
really
was the
don't think it
lowest,
was
Yeah, I wouldn't say
1.6. And there was no insurance increase
No.
last year, so she didn't have her facts right.
Yeah,
But that doesn't mean that the perceptions of our people
right,
aren't there. They're not, we correct them,
yeah,
but they're there. Which
we
of course is
yeah.
why we were doing the one-time bonus
right.
to
And-
try to even that pain a little
And I
bit.
think that's smart what you were, maybe looking more
The
towards,
top end.
and again, that's totally, that is totally your decision to do and, but to
But-
address those concerns, I think that is what I want to just, I hear what you're saying. It is just, we cannot do 5%. That is, we can't do it. And remain fiscally responsible
No.
and
I'm,
that's even I
Yeah.
know we're pushing
Which
even.
is why
pretty
we
hard.
were focusing on, here's 2.1 million, and then you can look at those
is
that
right.
would have a lower average and spread it accordingly at PCTA's discretion. That was what we were looking at to address what you perceived as
Right.
inequities.
And I get that, that's why the focus was on that, and I understand that completely. We're looking at it as when we discussed it a long time ago, when that meeting that we had, and we said that, yes, we would not turn away the one-time bonuses, but that it would be a last resort, and that's where we're at, is that a last resort? Because employees don't like them, they don't like them.
Well, we
and
and we don't-
one-time bonus.
we want to keep adding to
Remember that
salaries.
graph that I showed you? We increased
Right,
salaries
nobody likes
consistently.
them, it's,
And-
they don't
and
do,
That's really been our.
so I'm
objective,
saying,
to
they don't
continue
do
to raise-
anybody a favor, they don't help.
Yeah.
You know,
we wanna raise
that's
the
where,
the
what they
ongoing
see
salary.
is that it doesn't help my retirement, it doesn't help this, doesn't, our main concern for this year, because of the troubles that Tampa Bay is going through, we figured, well, it's a last resort for this year, because at least it puts money in their pockets. We're just
Right.
trying to put money in your pockets
I
in
agree.
any way, shape, or form that we can. And that's why we added that, and that's why the bonus needs to be substantial
Right.
enough to be a help.
I don't think we can overstate, the reality of homelessness with our employees here, we've been hearing stories for years about how these major corporations have made record-breaking profits, but yet their employees work for poverty wages. They literally, you hear stories of companies doing workshops on how to use, public benefits to basically how to survive on public benefits and talking to their own employees about this. And you look at that and you say, that's horrendous. But you never think of it as being something that you're going to face personally. And our people are, and not just our support, not that it justifies it in any respect. And I'm certainly not suggesting that y'all are out to affect this, but the idea that not only our already lowest paid employees, our support employees, but our instructional professionals are at an alarming rate, looking seriously at homelessness That is inconceivable. And when we talk about comfort, and I get, it, when we talk about comfort, I just don't think that that can compare to to use the word discomfort when you're talking about a family that's looking at literal homelessness and is potentially shouldering the burden of advanced degrees, because we see that in this unit as well. Student loan pay, I mean, and are really kind of precluded from even like, even if we thought, well, maybe you need to pick up a second or a third or a fourth job. Again, it's sort of, we're sort of in trafficking in absurdities here, but let's say that that was the reality. They can't do that either because of facing with the shortage that we are working with in our classrooms and what that does to crowd the existing classrooms that are staffed by a qualified teacher. That workload doesn't leave. They still shoulder the burden of an increased workload, more grading, more supervision, more coverage. So they don't have the time to, they don't actually get the planning time that they technically have by contract. I mean, the snowball effect of that is so overwhelming to even think about, much less live in it, that I really feel like when we're talking about comfort, I just don't even know how we're using that.
Okay, so
that
it's,
So
term.
when we're talking about comfort, Lindsay, I'm talking financial reality.
yeah,
I'm
it's not
talking
about,
about, completely.
You're talking about financial fears.
No, it's not fears, it's reality, it's financial, putting us into a financial position that we're gonna regret next year, is what I'm talking about. And, that's my job, as CFO, my job is to keep this district financially solvent, and I've done that for the last 10, 12 years. And we've given consistent
And
raises.
extremely steady. And the practices that are in place in this district to affect that steadiness and that stability, I'm not saying that they haven't had that effect. But if what we've done is place all of our emphasis on, if what we've done is place all of our emphasis on the long-term fiscal view, it's not that there's anything inherently wrong with that.
I'm not talking about long term, I'm talking about short term. I'm talking about short term financial fiscal view. I mean, the raises that we're giving now are beyond that we're offering, are beyond the capacity of what I feel we should be doing, quite frankly. It's not to do with comforts, that's to do with mathematical computations. And I'm concerned that this time next year, we're gonna be looking at, not being able to give raises at all. That's what I'm trying to prevent, or having to, go in a different direction. And I don't know, and I know we don't want to talk about what the funding is going to be, but this funding, doubts as to what we're going to get this year for funding as well, because it's an election year. Once the election's over, we're not really an issue anymore, are we? So we have to consider that kind of stuff. And it's not that I don't do it because I'm not comfortable doing it, because I don't want to do it. I'm doing it because we have to maintain a level of fiscal responsibility, that we have to keep ourselves solid so I can pay my employees on a regular basis. I don't want to be in a situation like some other counties are in the state that are not able to meet their obligations, that have their that they're having difficult times, paying their employees. They're looking at employee, reductions because they can't pay their employees.
I gotta tell you, and
One-time
y'all,
non-recurring bonuses.
there's
and little
data from
salary
other-
increases.
That's what I was gonna say. It's not that they're not reducing.
Yeah.
They're not doing employee reductions because they
No.
can't because of the shortage.
Right, but they're looking.
But
at
they
one-time-
are only, there are some counties who are only getting a bonus.
Yeah. and
Only getting a one-time bonus because they don't have the money for a legit raise.
we
like-
don't want,
that
we
doesn't help
don't,
long-term.
it doesn't help long term, doesn't help
I mean,
any
it's-
one of us.
it's a
long
patch,
term.
but
Right.
It is.
it's a
So
wonderful
we
thing to
do
do
know
for
that that
this
is this, that is true, but what's also true, and I mean, obviously, the front page of the Sunday Times
yeah,
did not help, when it's plastered for page after page after page of charts showing how it's almost becoming impossible to live in Tampa Bay. And certainly for people who aren't getting consistent high raises, and that the raise needed because the recommendation is that it should be 30% of your income, should, no more than 30% of your income should be spent on rent. And they simply, everybody's doing way more than that. And they're showing, in order to keep it at that 30% or around there, you have to get this kind of a raise. You must get this kind of a raise. Social Security's COLA went up the highest it has in ages, 8.7. The realities are everywhere, not just here. And what would be devastating to me, devastating for Pinellas County is for even more of our teachers to leave at the end of this year or sooner. We had 2 more walk out today, that we know of. I mean, they're walking out every day. Because not only because of the struggle that they get about the money, that's a struggle, yes, that they can't afford, they're struggling with their home, paying for their homes and their families. But on top of that, they have so much additional work because the classes are so much larger. The workload is just so much larger. So there's no incentive for them to stay. They're just, every day we're hearing more and more people, even though we keep saying, hang in there, it's gonna get better. We're doing everything possible to get you a decent raise, but also to get more people in so that you're not falling apart under these pressures. And we're not able to talk most of them into staying. We keep some of them, but that's my terror, that's the reality for Pinellas County Schools, is that our teachers are gonna leave. We're gonna be struggling to bring anybody in here. You're gonna have, the quality goes down when you can't get what you want. And the whole district falls apart. The whole district is just not what it should be. It's like, this is a one time that we have to go way above and beyond to keep those people here and be willing to be saddled with the extra work that they've been taking until we can get these positions filled.
So the proposal that you suggested, the 13 to 20 years at 750, 21 plus at 1250, is approximately 4 million, and the 5%, 17.3, for a total of 21.3 million. And that's not something that the district can do.
I thought we costed it out, I thought it was 3.5 with the
Yeah, less than 3.5.
less than 3.5.
I've got through
Well, my CFO has costed it at 4, so.
750 and 1250.
That was removing the tier 1,
Yeah, it was
13 to 20.
Did you include
13
fringe
to
on that?
20 and 21 and
Did you include fringe?
Did you include fringe on that?
No,
Okay, so it's $21.3 million, and we just simply can't do that much. So what we offered was the 4% with 2.1. And you rejected that, so.
What I'm also afraid of is if we put in front of our people a lower percentage than the other units got that they heard of, they are not ratifying this contract. And we're gonna be freaking right back at the goddamn table.
Can we agree to the
Can we-
2.1? Or do you have a counter, but the 4 million isn't something we can do?
We can't take 2.1. Those that will make the bonuses too small to be helpful and could even be construed as insulting.
I don't
we
know how
cannot
that's
do that.
insulting. I mean, you can distribute that in a way that would equalize, which is something of your objective.
Which is what we're trying to do. But it has to be substantial. We can't give them a substantial
What is
raise.
can you define a substantial for me then?
What I asked for.
And we can't do that.
Okay.
So I don't know where we're at this point, but 5%.
There is money in the ESSER for that. And that's different funding. And
You know how
that
many
there is.
People have said, use ESSER, use ARP. That,
Well, there's money in the ESSER for that. I think it's well worth the use. It's considering, as I've said
Which is why we have come back and said
100 times
$2 billion
before,
for that.
you don't
right?
have a school system if you don't have your people.
Don't have a school system, they don't have money.
And ESSER was specifically for that purpose. And most of the people who, in the places that did give bonuses, their bonuses were
right.
quite high.
but they gave no percentage increase on those cases.
Some of them did.
Most,
Some of them did.
many didn't, like, for example, I think Hillsborough County for their tradespeople just settled on a fairly substantial bonus, but no percentage increase.
Well, that's a little bit of a way of work. But again, when we talk about a way of work, I think it's really important to acknowledge the difference between the operating budget and the savings reserve. And
I didn't hear that.
I'm sorry.
I didn't hear what you said.
I just think it's important to keep making the distinction, sorry, to keep coming back to the distinction when we talk about fiscally responsible. We're talking about two things, the operating budget and the reserve. And we keep coming back to the reserve, which is 5%, in reality is closer to 6%. 5% by policy, and that's twice as much as we're required to do by the state. And I get it. I'm not saying it's not a good idea to be there. I don't disagree with you that it's probably a good idea to be there. But we don't get to feed our piggy bank when we can't put food on the table. Like
So,
that's just,
again, a reserve is a non-recurring source of revenue. And if I were to use it for raises this year, how do I fund those raises next year? When that money's not there anymore, that's. the
and
simple
I'm not
reality.
saying to go, I'm not saying to go into the reserve. I'm not saying you have to go into the existing reserve. What I am saying is that you can, you know,
Can we
You
take
can
a break for a
access-
moment and
Let
kind of
us, let
go
us
through
chat.
some of our numbers and see
Yeah.
what we can, we'd really like to come together. We'd really like to
let us
give
see
as
what
much
we
of
can-
raise as possible. So let us go and.
Let us take a minute and.
okay,
In a minute.
okay.
I can't do math with people looking at me either.
Okay,
You should take that little tiny opening between the tables as a compliment.
Oh, I do.
Oh.
Actually, I take it as a great deal of enthusiasm on many people's part. Or delusion, just either way.
Both muted, both.
I do listen to you.
Yep. Okay, so, thank you for always letting us have some time to discuss and take, your proposals and see what we can do to even, hopefully come to an agreement as we try to move a little bit here. And I am really very, very hopeful that we can come to an agreement. We have stretched beyond the recommendation from our CFO, but I think everybody around this entire table understands the concerns that you have shared today as well. So thank you for sharing that. So we are proposing, and I kind of want to, this is our very, very, very best. So a 4.25 average salary increase. Again, picking up 100% of the increase to the healthcare. Again, the 2 days of additional planning or 4 days that we've spoken about. Increasing our proposal coming to the a little bit down from what you had just proposed with the one-time bonus of 3 million. And again, that can be at your discretion on how those would be distributed, allocated, sorry, couldn't get that word. The 3.25 increase to advanced degree supplements. We know that it's about 256,830, I think I said, or 380. I might have wrote those numbers around. Continuing to increase as well our academic, athletic, fine arts, not to the same amount there as we just did with advanced degrees, but 100,000 to continue that movement. And that is our proposal.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that last part about the degrees?
108,000 for increasing academic, athletic, fine arts supplements, which if anybody is listening, we have not yet met for supplements because we typically meet for those once they did a settlement, or an agreement has come to with our salaries to see what that additional funds would be
And
available.
I'm so sorry, I don't mean to, walk me through again, 3.25.
I'll go through it. How about I go through it one more
Okay,
time?
sorry.
No, it's verbal, so I know it's a little difficult.
Yeah,
to read.
yeah,
I'm so
But the
sorry.
professional and advanced degrees with 3.25.
3.25 at a cost of,
Can I just send this to you? I'm not sure that I have your.
Yeah.
What's your sign in?
it's here. No,
No, it's
I got it.
yes.
Hold on.
I think it's just,
And then can I follow them?
Log into the guests and type it in there.
And no one will ever crack that code.
Okay.
Capital I, right? Yeah.
We got it. Yes, yes, thank you.
okay. So, can I just
So,
say
let-
it back? Or you wanna read it again?
She's connected. She's gonna send it to you right
Okay.
now.
Sorry. It's like I was listening to one part of it, and by that point, you'd already
No,
said
you're-
something else, so I'm sorry.
You're
I
fine.
wasn't. A little slow on the end, please.
And then-
She's connected, which
Oh.
means something completely different in
I don't
Brooklyn.
know why or not.
What? Is it sugar bottle?
That's a family.
She's connected.
It's part of this thing about.
Lindsay, let us know if you get it.
I have, like, yeah, I'll check it out.
She's got a little, not a good sign on her email though, so I'm not sure.
I'm not getting it network going.
I am.
When we get it in the office.
And it's time to find out about some dinner.
What are you doing?
Are you coming home for dinner?
I'm so sorry.
I love, should I eat? No, never again.
You're not up.
Oh, at least he's not.
Sorry, and I was kicked off too of our own internet, so let me get back
Okay,
in.
let me just read through it again. So I'm not sure why.
I got nothing.
I don't know why, I'm sorry.
So I think you've got the 4.25 average, the 2 paid, the 4 days, the 100% increased healthcare. $3 million to be used for a non-recurring one-time bonus. 3.25% increase to the advanced degree supplements, which total 256,830 or 830. 108,000 to increase the academic, athletic, and fine arts supplements. I do not have a percentage of that because I don't have that number on in my notes.
No, that's
today.
okay.
That's that.
I was.
Was that for those the
Yeah.
ones that still needed to be funded because they were new for the year? Yeah, yeah.
They're for new, but for also, again, we have to have the supplement committee meet to discuss. We have,
Oh, that's,
Some requests.
there have been requests that I've been just saying. We're not ready to meet yet. We're not ready. We have to get that committee together.
Okay,
Okay,
okay. Thank you for clarifying.
sure. No, I'm sorry we couldn't get that.
No,
We'll
that's-
try it again.
It certainly was not your. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but I'll look for it.
Okay, so do you all want caucus?
Yeah, can we take a moment? I'm sorry.
Sure.
I'm really sorry to have you.
That's not a problem.
But I think.
We'll take this so I can.
Lindsay, if I get service in there, I'll send. it to
Okay,
you.
yeah, I'm sorry.
Mute,
Thank you.
stop video.
We were willing to do.
And we are back.
We had 21 and the 28 open. 26th was open, but Paula was available. It's all in, it's in. And this one, I couldn't do the 27th, because this is a major thing that they specifically asked, I don't know how long that's gonna go. Yes. Apparently there's massive. Where did I take this? I took this out to write something down. And I have no idea what it is. Yeah, it'll be right back. Okay. So this is looking really good. What we need to do is, we need to just go back and go through our numbers and like rerun stuff. Based on what we have and everything on this, from this new thing, but it is, I have to admit, it looks very, very good. I do not think there's gonna be too much issue, if any. And then we can set the supplement meeting as soon as possible. And we would need to also to set the appraisal advisory team to come back together as quickly as possible, so we can wrap up 31.
So I do have, we met appraisal advisory, they provided, they provided input, right? We heard that. So we did put together that we'll give to you, you can take and.
We did too. So you can take ours.
All right, well, it's changed.
Well, let's swap. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
I need a copy of ours too. I forgot.
Oh, yours on the keyboard.
Did y'all get? Nope, sorry.
And Nancy, what numbers can I just, what numbers did you need to go back and look at? Or is there something that we can look at?
It's,
I mean,
it's
we'd
the
love to
one-
get this
it's
wrapped up.
it's the sum, the one-time payment sum.
Okay,
Trying to understand, because just trying to look at our numbers to see how that would lay out. I know, because I got your counter and the language, talks about it being at the union's discretion, but that's part of it, is trying to understand how that would lay out with the union, according to the numbers that we have.
But could we agree to the amount, which is all this does, and
and then
then,
you can move on with,
as we did sort of with PESPO, we agreed to the amount and then came up with a breakdown that we could
Yeah, we did.
memorialize.
We did do that, but we also signed it. It wasn't like we didn't sign at the time. Like we came to an agreement. There was a little bit of back and forth at the very, very end, but we really came to the agreement before we were like TA'd anything.
So we can't agree tonight on a 3,004,25%. That's
That is extremely encouraging. And I think that consensus is felt around the table. But because we still have these items outstanding and we want to understand how this would lay out for what this one-time payment sum would look like for the unit.
We want to do a bunch of different scenarios. We want to do and we don't want to waste time sitting here and playing with that tonight. It's something we can do. Well, I'm not in tomorrow morning.
But what we'd like to do is agree that it's 3,004,25.
It'll be a couple of days. It'll be a couple of days that we can, it will not be a long time.
We really think it would be great for morale to be able to tell the instructional unit that there's that amount. And you can work on how you want to distribute it, and we will need we'll need to memorialize it so people understand.
I think it will be
distribution.
better for them to see what it actually will entail, not just the amount. That won't mean anything to them. It will not. I know how to sell a deal. I know how to sell this to the people to make them understand that this is a good deal. I have to be able to put it together so that I know how to present it to the members. Just the total amount is not going to be impressive to them because they don't know the breakdowns. And that's why I think it would be better if we can work the breakdowns and have an idea of it before.
The questions we always get are, they'll call, somebody will call and say, okay, what does this mean for me? So for us to be able to say, this is what this means for you as an individual. I think that that's going to give the momentum that we would need to get it ratified.
Right, and that's, you put it much better than my fumfering all over the place. But that is what we usually deal with, so we would like to be able to have scenarios ready to go and come up with the best scenario so that we can answer those questions. I just think that is the smart way to go, especially since it's not like if we sign off tonight, we can start ratifying tomorrow, because we can't. I mean, since we have to work on this stuff, we can get back to you within the next week or two, and everything could be done when the 2 articles are done.
Okay,
If
Well,
you
then-
see, the one big question I have about this, you're removing the entire deliberate practice plan.
that was what we had heard.
No, that is not what
Yes,
we
that
asked
is
for.
what we had heard. Well, we,
No, and William will back me up on this, as will Janet. That is not what we asked for. What I wrote down is what we asked for. Because
okay,
we
well, that's not, yeah.
remember what,
No, I remember, and I remember the concerns over deliberate practice plan and all of that. We had lots of discussion back and forth about how cumbersome it was and how it
no,
was.
okay, Paula, but you're getting it wrong, and I don't mean to be. I'm not trying to be insulting.
Well,
What we asked William, and his response was that having a deliberate practice plan helps keep
I
the
remember that
ultimate
comment.
score higher,
I remember that one comment.
which is
No,
why.
30 minutes around that was about how
Oh, why
what
are you, why are
what
you
a
upset?
dis-
Why are you
I'm
upset?
not getting. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Go
I
ahead.
mean, I'm just telling you, that's why we do not want the deliberate practice gone. And we said specifically, what we wanted was that the 1 to 3 year teachers, and I remember Jolene repeated this back to me because she was trying to understand what we were asking for. The teacher with up to 3 years experience would still need to work with the administrator and would need to get help targeting their elements and everything. And or if they were in a success plan, 1 to 3 or a success plan, but then other teachers would just submit it and the administrator job is still to assure that they are done, that all parts are done. So that is what we were asking for. They just are checking them in to make sure that the parts are done. That was what we asked for.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Then the other part is the 4 out of 7 elements on domain 3.
I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
And the other part was the 4 out of 7 elements on domain 3. If we dropped down to 1 observation to lower the number of elements that needed to be rated on domain 3.
I'll take us back to the group then.
Yeah,
So that
just
was,
on
those were just the pieces on it.
These were all discussions made
Yeah,
and
I didn't
input given, right?
Input given on that.
Yes, I didn't put anything in there about the elements because we had not come to any consensus about that at all at the table. So I just put
Well,
in.
right,
what
and
we
those
were-
are not in the contract.
Mhm.
That is a process, that is that is the implementation, which we had talked about. That the appraisal advisory could come and do, but it's not mentioned in contract, so.
Right,
That's
and
why it's
that's
not
why
mentioned
I
here.
said that still had to be discussed. But I only worked with the language that I knew of, that we were asking for. And that you were asking for.
Anything else? Nope. Got it? Okay, well, let me know when you're ready to reconvene then.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that that's what, asking to go ahead and bring the appraisal committee back together. And then, yeah, schedule
Well,
that.
I don't know when that's gonna happen because I do know that we couldn't, I know our next meeting for our specialized services not until November 2nd. That was the first day you all were available, I believe, for that. So,
No,
We've got some, we have more availability. I think it was,
it was other people.
There's a
who
few
were-
of the reps that were there, there's a few of the other
Right.
people at the table, but for advisory appraisal.
You were not available on the 26th, right?
correct.
That was the one that you did, and
I have a
I
medical
wasn't
appointment
involved,
that day.
I wasn't available the 27th. Those 2 days were me and you.
school board the 25th.
And school board was.
And I'm not sure I can sit here and schedule an appraisal advisory committee when I don't have my people. I
No,
don't
of
have their
course,
schedule.
right.
No, no,
But we do have availability on, this Friday, the 28th.
and we might be able to do that during the day. A little, like, push it a little earlier, so that, because for the team there, it's only Janet, who else is on? Susan's on that team, she's available during the day. Tracy, so you're, what's the earliest on Friday? What's the earliest?
Friday, I get out at,
We hadn't scheduled anything on Friday, so I'm not sure I can.
Well, there's 2 Fridays, to the 22nd and the 29th, but I'm just saying that might be something because we can do those earlier.
if I went and talked to Erin, she let me know like right.
Can I ask another question?
Yeah.
Sorry, just like timing. So I know you needed to look one more time at, or you needed to look at for the 3 million for how that, you need to look at the numbers and so forth.
Mhm.
You said you needed a day or two to do that. Is that something that you all would be able to get in the next day or two, that we could at least agree on salaries? And I will tell you, again, Lori had mentioned it too, I know people are anxious to find out, and I fully agree with you, Nancy. The more information at one time is absolutely the way to go. But we have people that are asking, and we really need to provide some, hold on. We need to give some sort of update on where we are. So are we talking that if you all can look at the money and the monetary, the financial part, that in the next day or two, we'd be able to settle on that at least.
To write something up formally and.
Yeah.
and- I think so. Do you think so? But I know
And
tomorrow is a crazy day. We have
Yes, but I also think that, and I get what I completely
they're
agree
what they're
with
asking.
you're
I'm
saying.
going to need to provide
Yeah.
an update of some sort.
But I think, I agree, I understand what you're saying, but I also think what we're hearing is that people want us to get this whole thing across the finish line. And that.
We as well,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
I'm
desperate.
going to have to put
Desperate.
something out. So again, it would be great if we could at least come to, hey, this, and then we're going to finish up on these other couple of items.
But again, I do think that our people are looking at this as part of a process, that they want to see the resolution of these outstanding issues as well. These outstanding.
I don't
cases.
disagree with that, but I also have people calling asking about their pay.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
Yeah, we.
which is rightfully so. I don't, again, I'm here to answer, but I don't have anything to say that it's our standard. We are continuing negotiations, and as soon as an agreement is
Right.
reached.
I mean, yes, most of our, a lot of our members are asking about pay. As I said, the member who wrote me and had everything wrong for all the numbers wrong from last year. But still was asking about pay. But we've also had a lot of emails and communication from our special services people.
The
Because
committee that's meeting.
they're also watching that one
Yeah.
very carefully. So we're
Right.
hearing from people from both, well, the nuts and the observation. Some people have asked about that because of the rumors out there about the.
Well, and that is another serious one, because we've got, we're in the process. People have
Absolutely.
to
Yeah, we're a quarter.
move
That's
forward,
why-
right?
Yeah.
That is why we're saying
I
we want
can't
this all
say,
to wrap
don't
up
do anything.
at the same time and quickly.
Yeah.
So that we can get it all out to
So
the
scheduling these
ramifications.
things with urgency, I'd say by
So
November.
what I hear you say is that absent settlement on Article 38 and the evaluation, there will be no settlement on salaries. Is that what you're saying?
No,
Or do you think it would be?
Well, it wouldn't I mean, we have.
You can't
to
ratify it.
together.
Right,
But-
but we
But
can
are we-
TA it, so we'd at least know
yeah,
what.
no, I didn't say that at all.
Okay, well, I
am-
heard Lindsay
no.
say that you want to wrap it up all together, and I'm trying to just clarify. Can we TA on salaries as soon as you get the breakdown? And I understand people want to know, what's this mean to me? And they'll want to know the breakdown in
That's right.
years.
I
In
think,
a couple-
I think we will be better positioned to answer that question in a couple of days. Yes.
So we'll be able to TA on salaries?
I don't know.
Okay,
We need
so
a couple
then
of
that's-
days to look at
okay.
this before we
Okay,
can, before we
so-
can TA. And again, with that information, we will look at it and I want to say it again. We feel encouraged by this. The team feels encouraged. We feel like we have moved in the right direction and we feel like we're seeing we're seeing a meeting of movement on the district's part. But it's an effort that has many moving parts, and before we can say this one is done deal, just like we did on the support side, we've got to make sure that everything is in line. We will be better, I think, in a better position to answer your question by Friday. Can we say right now that we are committing to TA on this? We can't, that's what I'm saying. That's the consideration we have to give over the
It,
next couple
it
of.
sure looks that way, but until I actually look at
Yeah.
what the numbers are going to be on the, for the raised part, and then looking at the numbers for the bonus, I need to look at all of that, and in order to know that this is where we want to land. I think it is, based on what I'm seeing and what initial things that we have done here. I would say it's 90%. Yes, I think it is. I want to be 100% before I sign something that affects all of my members'
I
lives.
understand that.
So.
That's all.
2 days.
That's
If you need
all.
help- if you need
that's
help with the
all.
numbers,
2 weeks prior
No,
until
Lindsay,
next.
let
us know.
meeting for 38.
Thank you for saying that.
Something
What?
like that.
Could
Yeah,
y'all,
Yeah, I just wanted to know.
Could
can
you
we say
send-
salaries? Here's what-
I think it came from your office. Can you send me an updated, my database, like the document that has everything, that's August 1st. Can I get an updated one
so
of
an
those?
update of, what, like a listing of salaries by.
Yeah, the
individual?
file that, I believe it came from,
It probably came from, Lisa McDaniel, I
Lisa.
think. Yeah.
Carly.
yeah, well, I'm not sure if it
It has experience too.
has everything.
So Lindsay, why don't, so I'm sure I send you the right thing. Why don't you send me what you have?
Okay,
And then
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
just bounce the email back that brought it
Yes.
across.
That's
And
perfect.
then
Okay.
it would just need one that's updated for
Yep.
now. Thank you.
Perfect. That would really help us
That would really
speed up
help.
this
Just
process.
send it to me and CC Dave and the rest of the.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Excellent.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks.
know.
And I know we're meeting for the PD advisory tomorrow,
Yes.
Where?
Tomorrow afternoon?
tomorrow afternoon, 3:30.
I don't know where.
Yeah, I'm not sure where.
And that's the show, ladies and gentlemen. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Thank you all
Bye.
very much.
Thanks.
It doesn't say where, it's just admin.
It's the last couple of times